takes a lot of courage to be humble enough to accept that I cannot do it alone.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Speaking of Hope is about taking action. It is people young in age and young in spirit, giving voice to personal experiences of strength, resiliency, and mental health recovery. These are universal human stories reflecting cultural identity, shame, courage, hard work, labels, fear, compassion, isolation, and most importantly, hope. Our intention is to ignite a passion to speak out and affirm that recovery is real for people with a mental health diagnosis. Speaking of Hope acknowledges pain and healing in order to inspire change in our communities.
I identify myself as an African American. In addition to that, my mom and my dad are from the West Indies, and that has an influence on me as well.
From a Black perspective, as a veteran from the Vietnam perspective, and as a person in recovery from the transformation perspective.
I grew up in the New Bedford area, which is a predominantly Portuguese area, and I didn't know about the things that were going on in this peer recovery community. We really wanted to go to the inner cities and carry the message of recovery to diverse communities that wouldn't hear about it.
Trying to recover is really hard because we have so many limitations put on us as far as what people think that we can do, and then to have another label attached makes it even harder. In the Caribbean culture, how they treat it is not in like the whole really medical format that is in America. They might think it's a spiritual thing, like there's all these types of ghost stories.
As Latino women, it was not all right for me to share that I was a person with a mental health condition. There is a marked difference between Latino cultures that mental health conditions are a female condition. And also within Latino cultures, we still work at a level of social classes. So the higher you go in class, the stigma attached with having a child or a family member with mental health illness destroy the foundation of your social class.
I myself had to make a decision on whether these diagnoses were of a mental basis or was it just something that doctors was telling me based on some pre-recorded notion in their own minds about Vietnam veterans. And I took up the flag of opportunity to go forth and find out exactly what these diagnoses consisted of.
What moved me into sharing the story was the fact that when I realized and accepted my reality and took ownership of my mental health condition and the fact that I needed both medication, therapy, and peer support, I understood that I needed to become a voice of awareness to my peers within the Latin community.
I know in my recovery, having people I could talk to, it gave me a lot of strength to hear what they do to overcome stuff, and also helped me to accept myself and to go after what I want in life.
I'm from Roxbury, and it's hard to deal with poverty and oppression and basic survival. To actually speak out to my community felt just really amazing to me because a lot of the times this kind of issues are suppressed and people don't talk about it and people don't get help, and it just really doesn't get better.
I've been hearing recovery stories for a long time, but every time it just gives me goosebumps because you just realize that you see a little part of yourself in everybody, but you also just realize like what people have been through and how resilient folks are.
I can recall one woman who came up to me and was telling me about her son who had a severe mental health condition and would vegetate in the house. She really wanted to know how I could help and give her information on how we can get her son in the group home. To me, she seemed very touched by my story. I feel like I actually did something and helped somebody out when they needed it the most.
It's never too late. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your earth suit looks like. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you've been. The road, the journey for recovery is open for everyone.
I can't change any of you. I can't change what happens to me. I can control how I react to things, because things would happen to me and I go into the victim role. Oh, poor me, poor me. The thing is, how am I going to react to that? Am I going to react in a positive way? Am I going to try to, make it better? And once I decided that, slowly things got better.
It's wonderful to see people up there sharing their stories and carrying the message that people can recover and that recovery is real. It's great to see people expanding their comfort zones, especially when it's a challenge.
By sharing, it gives me the opportunity to get out of myself and into the focus of what recovery is all about. Also, I would like to give them some insight as to what gives me the fortitude to go forward and come before a room full of strangers and tell them exactly where I am and what I'm doing and what I seek to do.
It's often called recontextualization, by sharing about some of the real obstacles that we've overcome. It shifts our perspective. We're focusing on the strengths that have come out of this, such as resiliency, persistence, faith, empowerment.
What matters to me is that now, difficult days, I can say, things are going to get better. And I can look in the mirror and actually say that I love myself now. I couldn't say that before. I absolutely could not say that before. And now I do. And it's awesome. It's relieving to feel that way, to realize that all of this work, all of that pain I went through, got me to a positive place.
I was amazed and I was inspired that if that person walked their journey, maybe this girl could walk her journey and it fanned the flame.
It's not about being sitting, telling people how to fix themselves. I have to fix myself along with somebody that have walked the path.
Do I have a way to go? Yes. Do I still have fears, doubts, and insecurities? Yes. Do I still sometimes make bad decisions based on those? Yes. But the difference is, I'm a new creature today.
With great pain comes great passion, and that passion can really lead us to wonderful things. It's inspired so much hope in me, and it's given me so much strength. And I just want this for other people as well, because all too often we feel like we're all alone. Through participating in events like Speaking of Hope, people can reconnect with themselves and figure out what they got to do to be well.
A lot of people have seen in stores where artists make these rocks that say hope, dream. Our symbol was a rock with hope in it. And we realized people could make their own rocks. And they wrote what really meant was important to them. Some wrote resiliency. How you get that in a little rock is tough, but they did. And then some people got into further decorating other people's rocks. Compassion, empathy, passion. When thinking about who needs to hear stories of recovery from mental health issues, I think everyone needs to hear that, because that's gonna really lessen stigma and discrimination.
I'd like to feel that I'm a drum major for this opportunity to stand before an audience and tell them we are in this together. It's not about you, it is not about me, it's about us.
We train people to carry the message that you are not alone and that everybody has the capacity to learn and grow.
Learning about people's recovery stories, meeting people, going to different places in Massachusetts, different areas, seeing how people respond to that. I feel like we're a part of the movement, we're trying to change things, and it's important information for people to hear.
I think we gotta come out of the closet there are so many people in recovery who haven't felt free to talk about struggles and talk about getting through those struggles.
Going from being a provider, being a Latina woman, stigma, restrictions of social class, to be able to so proudly stand up and speak up will hopefully inspire hope to others within my culture to step up.
You are a wonder. You are a gift. You are a person that have succeeded where everyone maybe had thought you would fail. I use the initials HOPE, H-O-P-E. You hold on, the pain will end.
We each have a stake in the world that we share. What is your passion? What is your story? Does it want to be told out loud? In a whisper? Through policy change? Through music or in pictures? Bring your voice and support to others by contacting the Transformation Center's Speaking of Hope project on Facebook or on the web at speakingofhope.org. Become a voice that shares for all to hear that recovery is real.